It's all just really simple. Just tell me what I want to know, and I'll release you. I'm kidding. That was a joke.
Force field?
You don't know? Well then, I guess I'm just gonna have to take my time.
Force field!
Weep ninny bong, my freaky fellow addicts. This is TFA 1024, the Transformers Addict, coming to you with another TFA review. And finally, for the longest time I've wanted this figure, for the longest time I wanted to do a video review of this figure, this is the video review for the Mastermind Creations reformatted R16 Anarchus. But before we take a quick look at the figure and the packaging, first off, let me thank my lovely lady addictress for hooking me up with this as a birthday gift, along with the leader of the group. I appreciate it so much, sweetheart. Thank you very much. I love you. I hope you're watching this. This means the world to me. I wanted this figure for so long because I am a huge IDW fan. And the fact that IDW is coming to a close this November really kind of breaks my heart, but I'm glad that the story itself wasn't canceled. It was actually properly finished. And I figured what better way for a Halloween video review than to review a figure that transforms into a torture chair. So now with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a quick look at the packaging in the new fashion that I've been doing. So here's the front. Here's the side of the box with some nice silver foil for his name, as well as a nice little picture of the actual figure right there in a little box. Here's the other side showing the same text on the front of the box, as well as a very nice creepy image of his face with those dead black optics. It's like they're staring into your soul. And here are your obligatory product shots, product demonstrations, technical cross sales, and more. And here we have Mastermind Creations R16 reformatted Anarchus in his torture chair mode. Again, huge IDW fan, so the fact that a third-party company decided to make KAON of the DJD just blew me away. I'm incredibly happy that Mastermind Creations is actually doing all of the DJD. We still wait to hear about Helix, Tesserus, Nickel, and the Spark Eater. But right now, Tarn, KAON, and Voss are available right now. KAON, I believe, is actually out of stock, but hey, go on eBay. That's where she got mine from. Now, there's not really much to say about this mode other than he's just a torture chair on tank treads. But that is what KAON transforms into in the IDW comics, which is pretty freaking unique. I absolutely love it. Now, I'm not sure in the IDW comics if he actually has these claws, but Mastermind Creations decided to take upon themselves and make these little claws into detachable pieces that, when fully combined, they form a little spider dude. Well, it's not really a spider because it's not 8 legs, but you get the gist. So he's a little not a spider. But in reality, he is a robot spider. He's a cute little thing. I like him. You know me, I like spiders. You got them beautiful, pretty little red optics right there. Picked out in some paint. Not really much paint on this thing, and that's fine for what it is, but I like the fact that he can separate and he become extra appendages to restraints to hold down the victim in the chair form, so that's really cool. And you can just have him, like, you know, just stay right here. What I like to do is, whenever I have him like this, I like to raise his front legs, angle his back legs a little bit, and then, you know, have him stand up like this, like he's a maniacal little spider dude, like, yeah. I also call him Arachnoid, because that's what he is. Now, for quote-unquote size comparison, there's really not much else to really do with him. I mean, you can't really compare him to a vehicle, but for the sake of the review, why not? So here he is next to the Transformers Cyberverse. I'm going to stick you up here, little arachnoid. Here he is next to the Transformers Cyberverse Warrior class Optimus Prime. And again, you can see that ain't really accurate, but I mean, hey, it is what it is, so what can you do? But there he is with that. And just because for IDW reference sake, here he is next to the Transformers Generations Combiner Wars, the Trailbreaker in robot mode. Just to give you a robot mode comparison. You can see he is roughly about the same height as the chair. And if you want to get a little sadistic, you totally can. You can actually have him sit down in the chair. It's a little bit something you have to finagle with, but you can do it. I've done it multiple times, and it's a lot of fun. Please ignore the background noise. People are inconsiderate. But you can just, like, pop the dome cap right there. And he can actually sit in the chair. You actually can kind of have his armrests, like, restrained. But there you go. There's Trailbreaker in the chair. And KAON for you IDW fans out there. So there's that. And I've tested with a few Generations figures, and to my knowledge, the only ones that really do fit pretty well is Trigger Happy, Trailbreaker, and a few others that I can't remember off the top of my head right now. But other than that, he's just a chair with a little spider dude. And that is pretty cool. He also does come with an accessory. You guys are seeing it kind of protrude out the back of his butt, or what will be his butt. But it's just a rifle. It's a gun that he never really used in the comics. They just decided, hey, give him a weapon. And that's what they did. And you kind of just keep that in there for like a stand, because when this thing is transformed, it becomes very back heavy, even with these treads. So it's nice to have it in there for a little extra support. Now, for posability's sake, what you can do is you can take the head cap and you can rotate it in all kinds of different angles. You can do this, that. It's on like 3 different hinges, so you got a hinge here, a hinge here, a hinge here, and then you also have a ball joint. And you can tell it's a ball joint because you have a little slit right there. But that's not really for anything. You can have him, you know, take on mini guys. You can have him take on big dudes. You can do whatever. The actual, like, I guess, like, leg rest and everything is also, like, posable. There's a hinge here that you can utilize. There's a hinge here, and this is on a triple hinge, so you got a hinge here, and a hinge here. And you can just kind of pose this in any way you want. The best way I see to do it whenever it's just kind of resting is kind of like this. A little back heavy, but it's not anything bad. Now, being a Mastermind Creation third-party toy that's going for about $80, I wouldn't say that having him just transform from a chair to a robot with a little, not a spider, is worth it. But he does have a second mode, and this is normally where I would do a stop-motion transformation, but I have yet to even test animation with this guy. So what I'm going to do is, once again, much like the recent video review that I did, go check it out if you haven't already. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut here, go to the next mode, and then we'll go on with the video review. So, by the power of dissolving effect, let's go ahead and take Mastermind Creations reformatted R16 Anarchus, aka IDW KAON, from looking like this to revealing the mechanical arachnid within. And this is quite possibly one of my favorite modes for KAON besides his robot mode. And the torture chair. No, you know what? I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is my favorite form. This is my all-time favorite form for KAON. I love the torture chair. It's so weird and unique and creepy and sadistic to fit the character himself. But the fact that he can also transform into a mechanical scorpion is really cool. One thing I will definitely say is I love the addition of the Tesla coil mandibles. I think that's a really cool, very interesting thing to add for the design. Mastermind Creations just went ahead and pretty much fan-moded this. This is not an official form for KAON in the comics. If it was, that would be great, but unfortunately KAON is dead. So, unfortunately no future for KAON. But what I will say is that this was a very clever move on Mastermind Creations' part, and this honestly does kind of help warrant the $80 price point. It is a third-party triple-changing DJD member, and how everything kind of just works in sync with it, you know, with each part, each component, is all the better. Again, I love the Tesla coil mandibles. I love the fact that his legs become the claws of the scorpion. I love that the actual, like, footrest and backrest of the chair becomes his giant tail. The armrest kind of help bulk out the tail a little bit, which is very cool. the little not a spider, he like separates and forms the legs for the scorpion mode, so it's like he can't transform into a scorpion without his little buddy. And I think that's nice. But there is a lot of good molding and sculpting detailing on this figure throughout the whole thing. The transformation into this mode is quite possibly the most simplistic. It is somewhat a little scary to transform, especially here at the legs, considering the fact that this whole waist section is very loose to help for transformation, but you also have this piece, and then you have these pieces that have to rotate, and you don't know if you'll be able to chip anything, or a piece of plastic will break off. And then also kind of separating the little not a spider arachnoid is a little terrifying, because you don't know if, again, a peg will break off, or something will happen to it or not. Now, unfortunately, not everything is really connected. The fact that the arms for the robot mode are basically here, there's no proper connection, which I do understand, they just kind of rest there. It does help kind of fill in the scorpion torso, basically, the scorpion upper body, and it works. You know, it's not as gappy as it would be, but the only issue I really have with this figure is the fact that this area right here will not stay flush, because Kaon's head is actually in there, and the fact that this whole thing for the skull cap pretty much has to fold inside, I can understand, again, why. It doesn't really compromise or take away anything from this figure. It's just minor complaints that I have, but the fact that I have this character as a toy fills me with so much glee. It fills me with terrifying, creepy, sadistic glee, because the DJD are awesome. So, for a very quick size comparison, once again, here is Generations Trailbreaker next to Mastermind Creations Anarchus, aka IDW KAON. You can see, robot modes are going to be a little bit smaller compared to a giant scorpion, but from, if you rotate the tail all the way up, then he kind of wins. That's only if you want to do that, though. And for a vehicle mode comparison, here he is with the Transformers Cyberverse Warrior Class Optimus Prime. And that's honestly kind of terrifying, the fact that he's such a small little truck compared to a giant mecha robot scorpion. That's really cool. Very, very nice. So there is that. The posability in this mode is the legs are on ball joints because, again, it is the not a spider, so ball joint, ball joint, ball joint can move a little bit. The claws can kind of open and close, not too much, but, you can actually get some pretty fierce grips. I also love how the heels of the robot mode feet actually form the other side of the scorpion claw, which is very nice. The tail can move. It is on several different hinges because, again, it's the same hinge that is utilized for the chair mode. So you have that hinge, you have that hinge, and then you have this hinge. You have this hinge up here. You can kind of compress everything if you really want to, but I don't see why you would, because he needs his giant tail. He's a mecha scorpion. And that's really it. No rolling wheels, just nothing really needed, honestly. That's something that kind of bugs me with this for the chair mode. I would have liked it if they add rolling wheels, but again, I understand as to why they didn't. So it's not really a big complaint on my part. Now once again, this is where I would go into transformation, but because I am scared to transform this thing in stop motion form, I'm going to once again go ahead and do a dissolve effect and then go to the piece of resistance, the robot mode. So, by the power of dissolving effect, let's go ahead and get Mastermind Creations Anarchus, aka IDW KAON, from looking like this to revealing the DJD interrogator within. And right off the bat, I am just so blown away with how accurate KAON turned out to be. Or, I'm sorry, Anarchus. We all know it's IDW KAON, let's be real with ourselves. He looks like he jumped out of the comics and decided, I'm going to be a toy. And it works so well. I give tremendous props and a huge thank you to Mastermind Creations for making these DJD character figures. This is something that really the Generations line needed for a long time, but I can understand as to why Hasbro had a difficulty not doing them yet, because, let's be real, it would be very difficult to promote toys of very murderous Decepticons. Example, KAON transforming into a torture chair, Tesserus, I believe, transforming into a smelting pit, Helix transforming into a living grinder, and, you have Tarn as a double fusion cannon tank, Spark Eater as a Turbo Fox, mutilated Turbo Fox, and Nickel as a little submersible all-terrain vehicle looking thing. The point is, these characters are not going to have toys for a while, so the best bets, honestly, is Mastermind Creations if you can afford it. But of course, we're not going into recommendations such just yet. I will give, you know, tremendous props for Mastermind Creations doing what they're doing. The fact that they made Tarn with his Decepticon face mask, that was pretty ballsy. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That's exactly what that was. That is a trademarked logo, and they had the gall to use it. They modified it a little bit, but it was still their logo. But I'm very glad that Hasbro did not take action against Mastermind Creations for that. The fact that they're even making the DJD in general, I'm really appreciative that Hasbro's like, hey, yeah, let them do it. It's fine. And KAON here is, you know, no exception. He is a perfect rendition of the DJD interrogator. I really do enjoy this thing. The only thing I have a problem with is getting him into chair mode sometimes. That's just me being dumb. Sometimes I miss a few steps because, while he is a third-party figure, and he's not really all too complex, he does have his own complexities in his own special way. And again, I just love him. You know, look at him. Little arachnoid. He's got a gun. He's cute. Got some beady red eyes. You know, I am arachnoid. He's just cute. I like him. I like him a lot. KAON, though, is freaking cool. I really enjoy him. I love his design. His very pale, skinny, lengthy-looking Slender Man self. And I mean, the dark black dead optics, you know, are no exception. That just looks remarkably creepy. Like, look at that. It's like staring into your soul.
Hey, I already made that joke. TFA, get original.
Just look at that. That looks cool. And since we're here, let's go ahead and get into articulation. So his head can rotate 360 degrees if you move his collar piece out of the way. Can look up this far, can look down that far, can look up even further, but again, that's for transformation. And once you get everything situated, you know, just make sure to put everything back the way it was. It does have a little bit of wiggle-waggle movement, so you can actually, like, have him look confused, like, Shoulders are on a rotational joint. They can rotate 360 degrees. They can go in and out. You can, I believe, move these out further to accommodate for even more movement, so he does have a very nice range of arm motion. The biceps are on a hinge as well as a very, very significantly tight swivel, so be careful. The forearms are on a hinge, and then the hands are on a ball joint that can wiggle, waggle, and rotate 360 degrees. The waist is on a swivel/ball joint, has a very nice range of movement, can do a nice ab crunch, can do a back bend, can go side to side, can rotate to and from, but it can't rotate 360 degrees because of the way that this piece is made. The legs are on a hinge, as well as the side skirts are on a hinge, so you can go forward, you can go back. The legs are also, to accommodate for even more movement, can rotate, but that's more for chair/scorpion mode. And they'll peg in. Pretty tight connection right there. The thighs, I believe, or the calves, the knees, are on a nice 90-degree knee bend, even slightly more so. And they are also on a swivel that can rotate 360 degrees, but that's also for scorpion mode/transformation. And the feet he can wiggle his toe, and he can pivot his feet. So you can get him in some pretty dynamic poses if you really want to. And he will actually hold them pretty well. So there's that. Now, really, there's not much else to say about KAON. He's a very good figure, quite possibly the best rendition of this character. If not only the only rendition of this character, because to my recollection, not many people are making characters of the DJD into toys, except for Iron Factory and Mastermind Creations. Unless someone else decides to take up the mantle, I think Mastermind Creations is nailing it. The fact that there is so much detail, so much love and hard work put into these characters just means the world to me. And again, I have to thank Mastermind Creations for making these characters into toys, because they are quite possibly the coolest characters of the IDW universe. Now, unfortunately, he is sold out at the moment at Big Bad Toy Store, TF Source, or wherever you prefer to shop. My lovely lady Addictress got him on eBay for a little more than what he's worth, but this was a birthday gift, and I do thank you, sweetheart, so thank you very much. This Halloween Spooktacular special review would not be possible without you. So thank you very much, I love you, and I look forward to the other little birthday surprise that you decided to surprise me with. But yeah, other than that, KAON is a very, very fun figure. He's very simplistic, but he also has his complexities. There are some pieces on him during his transformation that kind of worry me that they're going to break immediately. Example, this whole backpack section. There is actually like another layer underneath this whole thick back piece right here that will slide out to kind of extend into the rest of the chair. And it's a little concerning because you don't know how much force you have to apply to it. And not only that, but it depends on how durable the plastic is going to be over time, because plastic will degrade over time. I'm also really not going to show off the whole arachnoid shield on the box. I don't like that. That's spider abuse. I don't like that. No, I'm not doing that. He's going to be a little buddy. He's going to shoot his gun while he's torturing dudes. But the fact that there's so much range of motion and articulation and molding and sculpting and painting detailing. There's not really that much paint. There's just the silver bits, the gold bits, and then everything else is kind of your standard manufactured plastic. But it works for KAON, and that's what I like. Torn kind of has the same thing going on. Yeah, there's not a lot of paint, but again, you're paying $80 to almost $100 for each figure alone, so why complain about it when you can just enjoy it for what it is? I mean, hey, if you want to be a customizer, by all means, go ahead. Feel free to paint up whatever, blank canvas is left on him. But when you do it, it is permanent, and you have to keep up with it, so me not being a customizer, I'm very content with having KAON as a toy in general. I think he is definitely a lot of fun. As I aforementioned, his transformations to both forms are kind of scary. Even the robot mode is a little bit scary because of these tank tread pieces here, because you have two individual sections that are both on hinges as well as rotational joints that feel like they could snap if you do something wrong. And the fact you kind of have to flex it over a peg is also a little concerning because, again, you don't know how durable that plastic will last. But other than that, Mastermind Creations reformatted Anarchus is quite possibly the best rendition of IDW KAON to date. If you do not have this figure, you are missing out. Head on over to eBay, see if you can find him from a seller on Facebook or something, and pick this guy up. Because while he's not necessarily a necessity to your collection, he is a very beautiful addition to your Generations collection, as well as your IDW comic figure collection. So pick him up if you want to, because I recommend, so you can decide. But that's pretty much all there is to say, my fellow addicts. So this has been the video review for the Transformers... You get into a habit of saying it. This has been the video review for the Mastermind Creations reformatted R16 Anarchus, and I want to thank each and every one of you for watching my Halloween Spooktacular special review. And please remember, my fellow addicts, until next time, to get addicted, stay addicted, and TF addicts for life! This is TFA 1024, the Transformers Addict, rolling out!